the major issues which we discussed now today, we'll start with discussions on input tax credit. We actually already seen the basic concepts of VAT. That is, it is a value-added tax, and you basically VAT works on input credit. That is, you get credit of your inputs, and that credit you can utilize for payment of your output taxes. That is the basic principle of VAT. And for paying tax on your output taxes, output goods and services, you get input tax credit. Now, what input tax credit you can get? You can get input tax credit of GST paid on input goods, input services, and capital goods. Now, let us start with input goods. Input tax credit of input goods used in supply are eligible. That means the inputs or goods should be used in supply. If they are not used in supply, then they are not eligible. If you are utilized for some other purposes which are not supply of goods and services, then those inputs are not eligible. I mean, just simple example, say cooking gas used in your canteen or cooking, that cannot be used. You cannot say that it is used in my supply. Or office stationery, you cannot say that it is used in my supply of goods and services. So such inputs will not be eligible. That inputs should be used in supply of goods and services. Then there will be no input. So basically, you can say raw materials and consumables, they are eligible for your input as your inputs. If they are neither raw material nor consumable and have absolutely no relation with your goods and services, then they will not be eligible.
So the mobile bills, internet bills.
No, we are talking of input goods.
Sir, cooking gas.
Cooking gas, if you are using for production of food, etc., sale of food, then it will be eligible. But cooking gas is in your office canteen or factory canteen. You cannot say that cooking gas or whatever subsidies you are providing in your office canteen.
For restaurant it is input.
For restaurant it will be input, but not for your office and office canteen or factory canteen. In factories particularly you have got canteen. Now whatever you are using in factory canteen, you cannot say that it is used in supply of goods and services. Stationery in using in office, you cannot say that I used in supply of goods, etc. Then inputs going waste during manufacture, they are also eligible. They are part of inputs. That is, for example, you have 100 inputs. Your output will not be 100, it will be 90, 85. But whatever that 15 it goes waste, that also you can get the credit because it is also used in manufacture. Now, input tax credit is not available if no output GST is payable. That is the basic principle. Then there is slightly different treatment for capital goods, though all capital goods are eligible for inputs, I mean as for input credit, and generally earlier the provision was that the credit of taxes paid on capital goods was available in 2 years, spread over 2 years, 50%, but most probably under GST it will be available in the first year itself, completely in first year itself. Now, which inputs are not eligible? Goods used for personal consumption of employees are not eligible, like your food in canteen. I mean, for some goods you are using only for the personal benefit. Mainly food related, which are given in canteen for factories, etc. They will not be eligible. Then capital goods are of course eligible. Now this definition of capital goods, which is actually copied from Senvet Credit Rules, and that definition will have to change because the definition as given in Senvet Credit Rules and as copied in the present GST law, it covers various capital goods or various items which are normally not considered as capital goods as far as our income tax or our financial entries are concerned. For example, spare parts, components, they are defined as capital goods in the Senvet Credit Rule. But in our financial records, we never capitalize them. We write it down. Tools, molds, dies, these are defined as capital goods under sale-made credit rules, but we never treat them as capital goods in our financial records or even income tax record. So mostly, presently, they have copied it from this sale-made credit rule, but mostly they will have to change it and they will have to align it with your financial financial entries or your accounting entries. Now, entire input tax credit on capital goods is expected to be availed in the first year itself.
So including office equipments?
Office equipment, the next point is there. Input tax credit of capital goods, only those capital goods which are defined as capital goods will be eligible. If they are not defined as capital goods and if they are also not inputs, then you will not get the credit. For example, say furniture. The furniture, mostly it will not be defined as capital goods. And so if it is not defined as capital goods, even if you capitalize in your books of account, you will not get the credit. Office equipment, it will not be generally eligible for input tax credit, except for those who are selling the office equipment themselves. If you are in the trade of selling office equipment, then as far as you are concerned, it is your traded goods and they will be eligible. But otherwise, they will not be eligible. Then construction of office building and factory building. All your material used in construction like cement, steel, bricks, etc., water, tiles, whatever you use in construction of office building or factory building, that will not be eligible. It will not be eligible either as input or as capital goods, even if you capitalize them in your books of account. Similarly, input tax credit on motor vehicle, it will be allowed only to dealers of motor vehicle, or only if the capital goods are used in manufacture or transportation. I may say within the factory you are using transporting the goods, then you will be eligible, but transporting of employees, it will not be eligible. Or motor vehicles which are used by training institutes for training motor driving, only for them it will be eligible, but otherwise normally input tax credit of motor vehicle will not be eligible. So for your office purposes, etc., they will not be eligible, even if you capitalize it in your books of account. So what, again I am trying to tell you, whatever you capitalize in your books of account or financial, not necessarily that it will be treated as capital good for the purpose of input tax credit. Now, one of the condition for availing sale-made credit of capital good, which is of course there in present provisions also, that depreciation on GST portion should not be availed. That is, for example, your value of machinery 100 and you are paying GST of say 18, so total value 118. But you should capitalize only 100 rupees in your books of account, and you should claim depreciation only on 100 rupees, not on 118 rupees. But of course, if you are not availing the credit of that 80 rupees, then you can claim depreciation on entire 118. Now, removal of capital goods. You see why the basic distinction between inputs and capital goods is generally inputs get consumed, but capital goods are removed after maybe 2, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever, depending on your usage. But when you remove the capital goods, either you will remove it as a scrap or you will remove it as a second-hand capital goods. Either way, GST will be payable when you remove the capital goods either as scrap or as capital goods. I mean, either second-hand goods or as scrap. Now, normally it will be payable on your selling price. Normally, when you sell the capital goods, it will be based on selling price. But that will be subject to minimum, which will be calculated on the basis of depreciation. They will give some depreciation rate, so you should have to pay minimum that much if your actual value is less than that. So actual value or that depreciation, whichever is higher, on that basis you will have to pay GST.
So whatever GST are paid on reselling can be availed as credit
by the other side.
Buyer, no?
Of course, by the buyer can avail it. Okay. Now these are relating to capital goods. Next issue is relating to input services. Input services, which is those which are providing for supply of goods and services. Now, normally they are eligible, but which are not eligible, Services primarily used for personal consumption of employees, they are not eligible, like food, beauty treatment, health and fitness services, personal insurance, travel benefits on vacation. These are mainly for the personal consumption of employees. They are not eligible. Of course, there is some duty. Now, for example, beauty treatment. It is for personal consumption of employees. But say if you are in airlines business, then it is not for, it is actually for business purposes. For say for airlines, or if you are in some film industry, then beauty treatment is actually your input service, because it is not for personal benefit, it is for the benefit of the business. So there should be eligible. Now again, personal insurance. If the insurance is for to cover the liabilities of the company, say for example accident insurance, then it is not for his personal benefit, it is for the benefit of the employer, and then it will be eligible.
So Keyman insurance policies?
Human insurance, if it is, you can prove that it is for the benefit of the company, then it will be eligible. But if it is used as a perquisite, it is for the benefit of say family of the employee, then it will not be eligible. So if beneficiary is company, because company says I will lose if that he loses, and then if beneficiary is company, then you will get
But
it.
sir, if it is a perquisite in the hands of employee, we have yesterday discussed that perquisites are also liable to GST.
Can also be liable to GST if they come in those definitions. But you see, that is a liability. Here it is eligibility. Liability is different, eligibility is different. Here they are talking of eligibility of input tax credit. Yesterday what we talked of, liability of GST on the perquisites which you are providing to employees free of cost.
But sir, if I have taken a Keyman insurance policy for my employees, if I am not eligible to take credit, but once I am giving those insurance to employees and I have to pay GST liability, so why wouldn't I take credit of input?
Then you see, again, personal liability, personal insurance, if it is for the benefit of employees, then you will not be eligible. But if it's for your, that is for example, if that that amount the company is getting, then company will be eligible.
But sir, if government is demanding GST on the perquisite provided to employee, then how they can deny the credit?
Anyway, you see, law and logic does not go together. Basically, law and logic does not necessarily go together. So, what is legal need not be logical, and what is logical need not be necessarily legal. Okay. Now, these are the conditions for eligibility of input tax credit. One is there has to be a tax invoice, debit note, supplementary invoice, or even a credit note. Now, they are not specifically said so, but digital invoices will be sufficient. It is not necessary that invoice must be in paper, physical form. But of course, if for transportation of goods along with truck, physical form invoice is still required. We have not reached that stage where a driver will show a digital invoice and that will be allowed at the Octra NACA. We may reach that position in 5-10 years, but not now. Now, another condition is that goods and services should have been received in the factory. That is one of the conditions. Now, this is a problematic situation because, you know, particularly if goods are dispatched last on the 30th or 31st, then naturally you will receive it in the next month. So there will be goods in transit. Naturally, it cannot happen. It may take you 5, 10, 15 days. So that is why what they have said, that if goods are delivered to transporter on direction of recipient, then it will be treated as goods received. That means handing over to the transporter as your agent will be treated as goods received by you. That's why, as I was telling you, you will have to change the accounting policies, because unless you make entry as a goods in transit, you may not say as goods received. But unless you show as goods in transit, you will not be able to, because then there will be no matching. Your return and his return, unless matches, you will get. Now he has supplied the goods on 30th, he will upload the return. But if you don't show it as goods received, you will not get the input tax credit. So, but that is why they have made a specific provision that even goods in transit, if you make an entry in your records, it will be treated that you have received the input and you can get the
सर अगर ट्रांजिट में डिस्ट्रॉय हो गए
रिवर्स करेंगे फिर ट्रांजिट में अगर डिस्ट्रॉय हो गया तो विल हैव टू रिवर्स द इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट
तो नहीं
हाँ
तो सेकंड कंडीशन में नहीं आएगा सर उसमें फिर कि ट्रांसपोर्टर को तो रिसीव हो गए थे
नहीं वो तो वो टाइम मिल गया बाद में फिर 2 महीने के बाद में आपको पता चल गया कि वो तो डिस्ट्रॉय हो गए देन विल हैव टू रिवर्स द क्रेडिट but at that point of you can take because then you will not show as goods received, you will show as goods in transit. Okay, but if later they are destroyed, you will have to reverse the input tax credit. Then tax charge should have been actually paid by the supplier. That is a very critical condition. That just his invoice is not sufficient. That tax should have been actually paid by your supplier. Now for that very elaborate provisions have been made. If you discuss in the returns, you will find out that first you have to file a return of goods dispatched or goods and services provided. Then you have, the other fellow has to file a return of goods and services received. And then if they match, then you will get a provisional credit that you can utilize. But suppose he doesn't pay. Initially तो उसने आप अपलोड कर दिया if he doesn't pay the tax then you will not get the credit and then you will have to reverse that credit. So provisional credit will be allowed but final credit will be allowed only when he pays the taxes. Now again you see they have a very elaborate provision that for example return whatever he pays it will be allocated on FIFO basis, first in first out basis. That is unless the dues of first return are completely paid, they will not be considered as payment for the second return. So whatever the assessee pays will be allocated on the FIFO basis. You will not say कि भाई return रहेगा अभी ये return में मेरा adjust कर दो. No, it will be arranged sequentially.
But then they are penalizing recipient on the default of supplier.
No, you see, okay, that is a different issue. But basically, you have given the facility, because unless he files a valid return, you will not get credit. Now, if you want, you can say, I will make the payment only when you file when the return is validated. If return is validated, then only I will pay you tax. So that, tool you have got, if you are in dictating position. If you are not in dictating position, then it is bad luck. Then that's why you will have to do vendor rating. You see, that vendor rating, if the vendor is compliant, then you can have a different payment criteria. If your vendor rating is poor, so that this again is a target that you have to decide, fix the vendor rating and see how much I can, I am sure he will pay the taxes. If your vendor rating is poor, you will not pay him unless he actually, his return is validated. If your vendor rating is good, so that again is one of the issues involved of vendor rating. You will have to rate your vendor according to you, what you feel is you will be paying in time or will not be paying in time. And on that basis you can decide your credit policy. But at least that is the one tool you have got, that you will know whether his return has been validated or not. So once his return is validated, then that your credit becomes final. Till that time it is only provisional. So valid return should have been filed. Later return is not valid unless earlier return is valid. So you have to validate the return sequentially.
सर इनकेस अगर बाद में वेंडर ने डेबिट नोट डाल के एंट्री कर दी डेबिट
नहीं तो डेबिट नोट का एंट्री अलग हो गया ना, पहला वैलिडेट हो गया,
फिर बाद में हमें भी डिसअलाउ कर दिया जाएगा.
हाँ नहीं डेबिट नोट पार्टी डाल दिया तो है ना, डेबिट नोट और क्रेडिट नोट
डेबिट
नहीं डेबिट नोट आर यू पेइंग सब्सिक्वेंटली
नहीं अगर सर वेंडर ने अपने यहाँ एंट्री कर दिया डेबिट नोट से रिटर्न करते हैं, रिटर्न फाइल करते हैं
नहीं रिटर्न नेक्स्ट टाइम वो
नेक्स्ट मंथ
उसे डेबिट नोट आपके यहाँ लगा दिया
जी.
और फिर क्या क्या
हमने नहीं किया.
हाँ
हमने
नहीं तो मैचिंग नहीं होगा तो मिलेगा नहीं.
तो फिर रिवर्स कर देंगे.
हाँ
पिछले महीने का भी रिवर्स कर देंगे.
हाँ मैचिंग नहीं होगा तो रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा.
सर सेल्स और रिटर्न बेसिस में क्या होता है? जैसे पब्लिश हम टैक्समैन की बात करता हूँ, हम लोग जितना भी गुड सप्लाई करते हैं डीलर्स को, वो सप्लाई किया जाता है सेल्स और रिटर्न बेसिस पे. If they could not sell the book,
सेल नहीं हुआ,
they
अभी
would
तो
return
सेल
it.
का कॉन्सेप्ट ही निकल गया, अभी तो सप्लाई का कॉन्सेप्ट आ गया है. तो सप्लाई अगर आपके पास अगर ये है अगर आप लगे बुक पर जीएसटी नहीं है पर लग गया है तो जब आप सप्लाई करोगे तभी आपको जीएसटी लगाना ही पड़ेगा।
सर लेकिन व्हेन ही रिटर्न्स द गुड कोई
तो
डेबिट
फिर भी वो
नोट
डेबिट नोट देगा
नहीं डेबिट
या सप्लीमेंट्री वो इनवॉइस भी कर सकता है ना। वो जब वो रिटर्न करेगा तो वो इनवॉइस करना पड़ेगा।
ना तो रिवीजन का भी कंसेप्ट नहीं है सर।
नहीं आपने सप्लाई किया जीएसटी हो गया दैट इशू इज ओवर द ट्रांजैक्शन इज कंप्लीट। नाउ व्हेन ही रिटर्न ही विल अगेन चार्ज जीएसटी। सी अगर जीएसटी है तो आप जब जीएसटी लगाओगे तो क्रेडिट ले लेगा अगर जीएसटी है तो। जीएसटी नहीं है तो फिर अलग बात है बट सपोज यू आर चार्जिंग जीएसटी वो क्रेडिट ले लेगा। यू कैन यूटिलाइज दैट क्रेडिट वंस रिटर्न मैच हो गया बराबर है। तो एक बार रिटर्न मैच हो गया तो वो क्रेडिट ले लिया। अभी आफ्टर मे बी 3, 4, 6 मंथ नाउ इनफैक्ट फिक्स a time limit of 6 months for return of goods. अगर 6 महीने के बाद में it is better that he issues an invoice instead of issuing a debit note because goods return are allowed only within 6 months. So 6 months के बाद में it is better that he issues a invoice. He sells the book to taxman.
So even if he is returning before 6 months, then he can also issue invoice in that case.
He can also issue an invoice.
But it would be beneficial either issuing debit note or invoice.
Invoice issuing is always beneficial because invoice also you can show GST and CST. Once he pays GST, you can take the credit.
Taxman can also issue a revised invoice.
Supplementary invoice can also.
Supplementary.
If taxes are paid twice on single item,
कैसे?
No.
sir, at the time of delivery to the dealer and at the time of return.
नहीं at the time of return आप क्रेडिट लोगे ना उसका।
नहीं क्रेडिट तो लेंगे सर। क्रेडिट तो अगेन एक डिफरेंट सिचुएशन है। मेरे पास इतना अगर रेट डिफरेंस हो गया तो मेरा तो क्रेडिट कभी यूटिलाइज ही नहीं हो पाएगा।
हाँ नहीं वो तो बोलो तो लॉस हो जाएगा। अगर आपने गुड्स वापस आ गए और आपने डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिए तो यू हैव टू अप्लाई फॉर रेमिशन। If you remission of duty.
Because of taxman में is very common. Books obsolete हो गई अब बिकेंगे
तो
नहीं मुझे
you have to
destroy
apply for
करनी है।
remission. You have to apply for remission.
Okay. Remission means refund.
नहीं remission is waiver of GST.
So whatever taxes I have paid or whatever taxes dealer has paid.
They will give remission subject to those.
But who will get the remission, dealer or taxman?
One who has borne the part tax burden. जिसने टैक्स बर्डन अगर उसके हेड डिस्ट्रॉय हो गए तो ही विल हैव टू क्लेम रेमिशन।
Okay.
आपके हेड में डिस्ट्रॉय हो
मतलब
गए
जिसने लास्ट टैक्सेस पे किए हैं उसको मिलेगा।
बट ऑफ कोर्स इट विल नॉट बी दैट इजी एज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट बट प्रोविजन हैज बीन
बट सर अगर बायर रिटर्न करेगा 6 महीने बाद
दैट्स व्हाट आई सेड आफ्टर 3 months it is better that he prepare the invoice
but
itself.
sir if he prepared the invoice he will get
You will have to charge GST.
charges. And he had to take the registration in where the seller is located.
Of course,
that state.
you see the whole GST concept comes if he is registered. If he is not registered, then he simply cannot take the credit at all. Once he cannot take the credit at all, there is no question of supplementary invoice, no question of debit note. The whole issue debit note, credit note comes when he is registered. If he is not registered, then there is no question. He will have to issue ordinary debit note without GST and all
यहाँ
that.
पर
But sir, if a final consumer return goods after 180 days, then what would happen?
Then the tax is lost. Then tax is gone. Okay. Now, invoice valid for 1 year. But actually, as we discussed, it is actually effectively less than 1 year because the last allowed return for the previous period is 30th September. You can make adjustment only up to 30th September. After that 30th September return for the previous year, you cannot make any adjustment. That means, and again you have to file the return on 31st December. So your adjustments are limited only up to 30th September. After that, if you are don't make adjustment, that credit is lost. So effectively, actually, you get in many cases less than 1 year to adjust your input tax credit. But actually, this is not a correct thing. That is, they have to make some. They should make some provision. After 1 year, you can get with some permission or something like that. Here it is complete ban. After 30th September, there is a complete prohibition. That is really not correct. It has to be allowed with some.
So the date will be 30th September or 20th October?
Then 30th September you file on 20th October. Return on 30th September you will be filing on.
Period is till 30th September.
Here period ending 30th September. That return you will be filing on 20th October. So you have time only up to 20th October of the following year. Otherwise it is gone. Then these are the transitional provisions they have made. Senvat credit as on 3rd November, at present you are eligible for Senvat credit if you are a manufacturer. So that Senvat credit which you are having in balance on 31st March you can carry forward and you can utilize for payment of GST. Similarly, state VAT credit. If you are under state VAT, you may be having state VAT credit. That credit which is available on 31st 3/2017, you can utilize for payment of GST. Now, again, capital goods, as I told you, you can have 50% this year, 50% next year. So if you are a manufacturer, you might have 50% during 2016-17. Now balance 50% you can avail on the 1st April of the balance 15. So unavailed 50% credit of input tax credit of capital goods you can avail. Similarly, under some state VAT you are allowed over a period of 3 years. And in that case, suppose you are availed only for 1 year or 2 years, then that balance credit you can utilize take on first year, 1/4/2017. Now you can get credit of eligible duties and taxes on goods and services which were earlier exempt from GST. So it is possible that some goods were not taxable under present regime, but they are taxable under GST regime. If at all such provisions are there, and if you have got this stock of goods and services as on 31/3, you can take its credit if such thing happens. Now goods, again 6 months time is given for it. If you have cleared the goods up to 31st March, they can be returned within 6 months. If they are returned after 6 months, then full GST becomes payable. So this is the transitory provisions which they have made. Of course, that's why here you have to be very cautious and careful. And in fact, a normal tendency to show higher sales is to show as much sale as possible in March. Now that tendency you will have to curb at least this year, because just to show higher profit, you show some clearances and all that. Then, and if you are not able to get the returns, etc., within 6 months or something happen, then you simply have it. So this time you have to be very careful while showing your exaggerated, because that is the normal tendency in companies. If March में ज़्यादा turnover, ज़्यादा profit दिखाने के लिए show turnover. If this year you do it, you are likely to come in trouble under GST.
सर ये जो पुराना मेरा एक्साइज, सर्विस टैक्स एंड वैट का क्रेडिट है, ये किसके अगेंस्ट सेट ऑफ होगा?
सेंट्रल एक्साइज का होगा तो IGST, CGST IGST में होगा. स्टेट वैट का होगा तो SGST में होगा. CST का क्रेडिट आज भी मिलता नहीं है.
अच्छा.
तो उसका तो
एंटरटेनमेंट टैक्स किसी का नहीं मिलता.
उसका भी नहीं मिलता. जिसका क्रेडिट नहीं मिलता है उसका तो
Sir, but what is the procedure of claiming previous credit? Just suppose I am a VAT dealer and my goods are exempt, and value of 1 crore goods are lying in my stock. I have not taken VAT registration. Now I am liable.
You will have to make a stock statement duly certified by chartered accountant.
GSTR 2 में इसका प्रोविजन है सर? ट्रांजेक्शन प्रोविजन का?
नहीं, उसके लिए अलग स्टेटमेंट.
उसके लिए अलग स्टेटमेंट.
सर्विस टैक्स इनपुट्स पे जो सेस हो,
हाँ, वो जैसे इसका एलिजिबल है उसका क्रेडिट मिलेगा, जो एलिजिबल नहीं है उसका क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. फॉर एग्जांपल स्वच्छ भारत से उसका क्रेडिट अवेलेबल नहीं है, उसका क्रेडिट यू.
But sir, dealers have to change whole the accounting of stock because they have not booked the credit.
Of course, accounting. If you are not vigilant, then you will lose heavily. Accounting entries will have to change. You have to make stock statements. You have to submit the stock statement if such eventualities are there. Even the 31st March return you have to be very careful in filing return. That also, of course, 6 month transitory period they have provided. Suppose goods are cleared in March and you are receiving March, April, June, etc. If you receive within 6 months of the goods cleared before 31st March, you can still get that credit. So 6 months transitory period has been allowed. So during that 6 months, you have to make maximum efforts to get as much import credit as.
इनकम टैक्स वो अलाउ हो जाएगा क्रेडिट जो हमारा एग्जाम्प्टेड गुड्स का पड़ा हुआ है एज ऑन 31 मार्च
नहीं, exempted goods का
क्रेडिट
हाँ,
वो तो पोस्ट में ऐड कर दिया होगा हमने
तो रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा ना. इफ यू आर एलिजिबल, हाउ यू कैन ऐड टू योर कार.
नहीं, इसमें ना जो 145 है ना वो इंक्लूसिव मेथड फॉलो करता है और जो अपना गाइडेंस नोट है वो एक्सक्लूसिव मेथड फॉलो करता है. तो इन ईदर ऑफ द सिचुएशंस यू हैव टू ऐड इट टू द क्लोजिंग स्टॉक एंड इफ यू पेड यू हैव टू क्लेम इट एज रिडक्शन. तो अगर आप उसका आईटीसी ले लेते हो तो भी आपको ऐड करना है, आपको उसको बाद में डेबिट
ऐड करना है वैल्यूएशन में, ओनली फॉर वैल्यूएशन.
वैल्यूएशन की
Stock
बात
valuation.
क्लोजिंग स्टॉक की.
So whether government has prescribed any form to take credit of
नहीं,
transitional phase?
नहीं, वो तो स्टेटमेंट देने पड़ेंगे.
And so in the current regime, there is a fixed limit of 1 year to take credit. Now there is a range of 6 to 18 months because if the invoice is of 1st April, I have the time to book of 18 months. If it is of
No, they will have to do something. I mean, at least from after, if they are less than 1 year, then they will have to give additional period, etc. But yes, surely it will not be unlimited. Now, next concept is of input service distributor. Now again, what is input service distributor? You receive various services at your head office or branch offices or divisional offices or depots, from where actually you are not providing service or actually you are not supplying any goods. In that case, what to do with that input tax credit? Because that services you are receiving are surely in relation to your business activities, and that way you are eligible for that credit. But from that particular place, actually you are not providing any, or you are not supplying any service, or you are not supplying any goods. Then what to do with the input tax credit which is getting accumulated at your head office, branch office, or depots, etc. For that, they have made a provision of input service distributor. That is, whatever input services, it is only for input services, not for input goods. So whatever input services you are getting at your head office, branch, etc., you can take the credit. Then every month you have to issue a consolidated invoice to all your factories or places of provision of service, from where you are providing the service or from where you are supplying the goods. And that distribution has to be on the basis of turnover of the previous financial year. And then you distribute, and then at the other end they can take the credit. Of course, one condition is PAN number must be same. So that means if it is a subsidiary company or etc., then you cannot distribute the credit. Your own company, branch, division, etc., then only you can distribute that credit, otherwise no. Now again, whatever credit is, even also there is concept of ISD, and whatever credit available on 31st March 2017, that also can be distributed in the form of GST, IGST, because now this input tax credit, input service, this concept today is only for service tax, it is not for state VAT. So you can distribute for as CGST and IGST, whatever the credit is available as on 31st March. So these are the basic issues. Of course, many issues will come when the final law comes in, because now they have said only, they have given some broad indications कि what is credit available and what is credit not available. But further details will surely come in the form of rules.